In this video, I'm showing a specific calibration of Airwindows Air4 designed to fill a density gap that can be made to appear just below the overslew band ceiling here in Airwindows Meter. With the DarkF control over here set to default 0.52 and ratio pegged at 1, we get a hard slew limit. And you can see that right here. It's cramming up against the ceiling of the overslew band of Airwindows Meter. This is safe in the sense that it prevents overslew spikes from appearing at the bottom of the band. But it's far from optimal in terms of soundstage depth and microtransient texture. We can do better. By pulling DarkF down to, say, 0.45 or even 0.43, okay, right there, you can observe. See what's happening there? We still have our hard slew limit, but now there's a gap between that limit and the overslew band ceiling. That gap represents wasted dynamic potential. By adjusting ratio so as to populate that gap without overshooting the overslew band ceiling, resulting in the appearance of those red overslew spikes at the bottom, I'm usually able to coax more depth and realism out of the mix. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to start dialing the ratio knob down. And as I do that, you can see that gap starting to be populated by peaks. Now, if I draw it down too far, you can see those overslew spikes starting to appear at the bottom of the overslew band, this band right here. Those spikes represent another type of wasted potential. The sweet spot is to get those spikes to more or less disappear and yet populate what was formerly a void, a gap, just to shave that ceiling without the spikes appearing at the bottom. All right, now this isn't about adding brightness. It's about optimizing soundstage depth and giving the high mids a texture. And it often has the effect of boosting the sonority rating in meter, which you can see right here. There's bright, sonority, and dark. I like to think of it as sort of microtransient landscaping. Anyway, this is the way I do it. And with that introduction made, I'm going to go ahead and play through the song. And I'm going to start with the way that I had it. Again, the default setting is DarkF at 0.52. I believe ratio is at, 0.0 by default. But if you want a hard limiter on slew, you peg it at 1. Now, I'm going to begin playback, and I'm going to do what I just did. As a matter of fact, without even looking at just looking at meter. I wasn't even paying attention to the numbers that I was dialing in Air4. Just by looking at meter and adjusting the knobs while I was looking at meter, I ended up at the same settings that I had this set to. I was about to print this master, and those, I think I had it set to 0.43 and ratio at 0.78. I was going to print at DarkF 0.43 and ratio 0.77. So anyway, with a little bit of practice, that's how you get with this. You're able just to do it visually and you pretty much can predict the way it's going to sound. So here goes. I'm going to bring my master volume back up and reset the meter. I'll begin playback, and then you can just, it helps if you're wearing, good phones while you're watching this and listening. Listen to what happens in terms of soundstage and microtransient texture as I dial this in. So here we go.
My last words are lost on the winds of my dying breath. 100 years from now, no one will think of my death. I'm telling my own story, and I tell it with no regret. The name is Barn Christian, and this is how it went. A letter came to the battlefield where we fought for our lives. A message that I would be a father, written by my wife. The captain said I could leave, I was needed at home. Danger waited on the road, I could feel it in my bones. I traveled near the tree line, I could see the light ahead.
I'm going to reset it and do it again.
A candle in the window in the room where we were wed. The news of my coming home made it through the town. There must have been 10 men waiting to take me down. The Yankees shot me on my porch, blue coats beat me to my knees. They cinched the rope and hung me from the nearest witness tree. They broke my neck when they pulled my mule out from under me. I died that night by the hands of men, hating men like me.
Now watch when I pull down too far.
My wife gave birth when she heard the news. Stillborn twins for Barn. They buried us with broken hearts, a child beneath each arm. War rages on with honor. I hope it ends one day, when enemies from both sides come home to find their way. The way I was killed tells me it may never be done. I hope no one ever teaches my wife how to use my gun.
One more time.
The Yankees shot me on my porch, blue coats beat me to my knees. They cinched the rope and hung me from the nearest witness tree. They broke my neck when they pulled my mule out from under me. I died that night by the hands of men, hating men like me. My wife gave birth when she heard the news. Stillborn twins for Barn. They buried us with broken hearts, a child beneath each arm. Yeah, my wife gave birth when she heard the news. Stillborn twins for Barn. They buried us with broken hearts, a child beneath each arm.
All right, so this is not the only purpose for Air4. Not the only way to use it. But for me, it's a very important part of my workflow. And this is the way I do it. And this will change. If I go back into the mix file and I tweak the mix a bit, and then I bring it back into this mastering project, often I will have to go back in and recalibrate it the way I just showed you. But I find that, it really works for me. See if it works for you. I realize that this is somewhat, perhaps genre dependent how useful this might be to you. I'm obviously working in acoustic country Americana, right? So I just put it out there for what it's worth. Thank you for watching, and may the winds of clarity blow ever in your favor. Peace out.